And you're going to say, oh, yes, Your Honor, I've got a lot of evidence. I always tell people, be careful what you wish for, because you almost always get it. And in my case, several of the women I met on the rallies over the years who seemed like interesting people. And one of them was in the car with me during an incident that has become infamous. I always say to people when they ride along, like, don't touch the stereo. If you're going to drive, you should be focused. And it's important that you can hear the alerts and warnings. Because everybody gets in the car, especially back then when like the culture of driving fast and professionally getting away with it didn't exist like it does today. Like today, there's lots of resources that you can learn about the technologies. But back then, people assumed, oh, you can get away with anything. So I'm in the car, and she's like, oh, why don't you drive faster? We have a long trip. I'm like, well, because we're listening to music, and I cannot hear the warnings. We were in the Polizia M5, still stickered in Italian police livery, driving from New York to Watkins Glen to go see a race. The driver had come out. And the book, I think, was pretty clear when it came out in 2008 that at the time of publication, the M5's registration was already like 2 years expired, but it was insured. So that was like a year and a half earlier. So I'm driving with tags that are 2.5 years expired. I've got insurance, but no documents of any kind. And the car is fully liveried and period correct 07 Gumball. And I'm arguing with her about the music. She's playing Depeche Mode. I can't hear the warnings. Going 75 and like a 55. And the detector goes off. And I know, who's going to get pulled over. It doesn't matter what we're doing. So I pass the police car in the center media and I see him. And I just immediately pull over and wait. I told her, like, whatever you do, just don't say anything. She has a big grin. She looked terrific. The situation, it could not have looked worse for me until the trooper arrives at the window. And he looked just like the instructor in Top Gun, Tom Skerritt. Except he's got the campaign hat on. Here's a guy, I just want to confess to him because he seems so cool. And he's looking at me, he's got this huge smile on his face, and he says, is this the car? And I'm like, yes. Is it you? It's me. And I'm so thrilled because, he knows he's going to let us go. It's cool. Is this vehicle registered? Like, nope. I'll be right back. Doesn't even ask for my license. Walks away, comes back maybe 30, 40 minutes later. He's got a stack of tickets. And he says, this is my lucky day. Because you see, I don't do patrols anymore at my age. I teach at the police academy. But one of my guys called in sick, so I thought, I'd cover for him. I give your book to every single student in my class. I teach a radar class. There's a picture of this car on the wall of my class as the ultimate of what we're up against every day. And to meet you here in person, it's just incredible. If it was anyone but you, I would take the car. Where do you say you're going? Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen. It's a long way to Watkins Glen. A lot of troopers. Every one of them a graduate of my radar class. Every one of them has read your book. So I'm going to give you as many tickets as I can. And you're going to take them. And when you get stopped, and you will, you just show them the stack and point at who signed. They're going to know me. And you introduce yourself because it's going to be great. It's going to be a long day for you. But I'll see you in court. I know you're going to represent yourself. So let's just call it even. You have a good day. I'm in tears because it's a ticket for like obstruction of the dash, illegal like fuel cell, illegal, police lights, obstruction of the rear window. It's everything. And I'm never going to drive again. And it's all over. And I don't even like car racing that much anyway. I didn't really want to go to Watkins Glen. I forgive me. I don't even know today why I was going. So get back on the road. I go like 54 miles an hour. It felt like a lot longer than driving to California. Get to the hotel, and there's a guy standing in front, early 20s, crew cut. He's on crutches. And when I get out of the car, he's like, holy shit, Alex Roy, it's amazing. Like, oh, I'm a huge fan. Like, and you got the car and everything. I'm like, I'm in no mood to talk. No, it's great, dude, and get your autograph. I'm like, please, I don't want to talk. What's wrong, man? Are you okay? No, I just got pulled over. You got pulled over? That's impossible. You're the best. And I'm like, no, I'm not the best. He's like, well, what'd you get a ticket for? I pull out like the stack. He's like, holy, we gotta have lunch. So we sit down and I tell him the story. And then I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. It's really nothing to be done. I'm gonna have to eat it. What's your story? Were you in the military? He's like, well, I was, but now I'm a state trooper. I'm like, really? He's like, well, how else do you think I learned about you, man? Like, that's where I got your book. I was at the academy. Read your book. It was great. Totally amazing. And this guy, he's the guy, he's tough. It's not good for you. It's not good, but you have one shot. When you get to court and the judge is going to ask you how you plead, you got to say, not guilty. And I'm like, well, that's impossible. Like, I'm clearly guilty. And I don't believe in a country where people who are guilty plead not guilty. I'm obviously guilty with an explanation. He's like, well, what explanation would that be? I'm like, yeah, you're right. I should plead not guilty. But what's my angle? He's like, he's going to ask you if you have any evidence. And you're going to say, oh, yes, Your Honor. I've got a lot of evidence. I'm like, well, that can't work. I don't have any. He's like, no, you don't understand. You're going to say a lot of evidence. Then he's going to say, well, I guess we don't need to see it, and it's going to be cool. I said, look, that can't work. He's like, but if you don't do that, you have no chance of walking out of there with a license. 6 months later, I drive to the local court in the same car, still unregistered, because I was busy. I'm a busy person. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I'm already in trouble. I get to the court, and there's all these off-duty officers, and a bunch of them have my book, and all hanging out. And there's the trooper who gave me the tickets, and he's upset because he's upset that all his guys are excited to meet me. The judge calls me to the front, and he's like, so how do you plead? Not guilty. Not guilty? With all these tickets? So, not guilty. And do you have any evidence? I said, yes, Your Honor. I got a lot of evidence. Really interesting. Well, I guess that wraps that up then. Clerk, and he starts crossing out the tickets. And the officer's like, Your Honor, do you have any idea who this man is? You cannot let the man said he had a lot of evidence, but you have to ask him for it. No, I don't. I get one ticket for like parking like on the roadside of the median, and the cop is livid. And then so I walk out, and the trooper who I met originally gave me the advice, says, meet us at the Denny's down the road. I drive there, and they're all lined up, and we have lunch. And I'm like, you have to explain to me why that worked. He's like, well, when I was a kid and grew up in this area, it was a very tough area. It still is. I got in a lot of trouble and drugs, and so I got arrested, and then the judge said I should clean up my life and I should join the military. So I did. And when I got out, I decided, I need to stay in the straight and narrow. I would join law enforcement, become a state trooper. And on my first day of work, got a dispatch sent me to an address that I knew well, because I used to go there to buy drugs. And I was a little nervous about going because I'm in uniform. I didn't want to run into anyone I knew. I didn't want them to think I was coming for them. I didn't want them to hurt me. I don't want to hurt them. I just want to keep it cool. But the call came from an apartment in the complex that no one knew who lived in that apartment. Even the people who lived there didn't know, except that it was a woman. Knock on the door, and I can hear 3 or 4 locks open. And the door opens 2 inches, and there's 4 chains. And the woman inside says, "Are you a cop?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. I'm a police officer." "Did you bring backup?" "I got all the backup I need right here, ma'am. Why don't you open the door? Let's have a conversation." "All right, but I think you're going to need a lot more backup for this investigation." "I'll be the judge of that. Why don't you open the door? Let's have a conversation. Turn some lights on, see what's going on here." So she closes the chains, opens it, and turns a light on. The woman was wearing a pink and black leopard-styled onesie with rain boots up to here. She had no upper teeth. Hair out in sticking like this. She could have been 20 with a meth problem. She could have been 70. She says, officer, I'm telling you, you're going to have to call for backup now. And also some DNA testing experts. You need a lot of help with this investigation. Ma'am, is there anyone else in the house? I don't know. So the room, it's a one-bedroom apartment, is filled with kitty litter boxes. Cats everywhere. The stench, the smell. Dogs, cats, there's like birds. There's like a huge trash can full of syringes and pill bottles. There's like another trash can filled with like empty like microwave meals. Like the whole place is just disgusting. The blinds are totally drawn. It's the middle of the day. He says, well, ma'am, where might that person be? Well, I don't know. It's not a big place, but I think maybe. Tell me, what did they steal? Oh, all my drugs. And what led you to believe that a crime had been committed? Do you have anything you noticed? Oh, yes. When I woke up, my door was open. That door right there with all the locks and chains, wide open. Is it possible you did your drugs and you forgot to close the door? Maybe. Where do you keep your drugs? Oh, right in there. In that trash can full of empty syringes and pill bottles and glassine vials? In there. Is it possible you did all the drugs and you forgot? Maybe. Ma'am, do you have any evidence that a crime has been committed? Oh, yeah, I got a lot of evidence. Do you want to see it? Very badly. Okay, but before I show you, you might want to call that backup. There's a lot of evidence. You're going to have to analyze it. And that was when I realized, Alex, that something much deeper was going on, because when she tried to take my hand and lead me to the bedroom and then to the bathroom, and she lifted the lid of the toilet seat and pointed inside and showed me how much evidence there was, I was quite sure someone else had been in the house, because there's no other way a woman who weighed 80 or 90 pounds could produce so much evidence. She's like, I told you, you're going to have to sample. You can DNA test it. And it's one of my neighbors. There's a couple of people. I know who it could be. Stand by. I'll get on top of this. Dispatch Unit 2-3. I'm at the location. Did she show you the evidence? Yes, she did. Tell them we're on the way. Backup's coming with investigators and everybody. We're on the way. And when will you get here? When the next new guy starts. So I sat back in my den. I'm like, I'm not sure I grasp this. He's like, oh, you grasp it all right. Basically, she calls the police once every month or two, and they send the new guy. This story is well known up and down New York State thruways and works because you have to be in the know. And of course, Roy, you're in the know. I'm pretty sure that story, if it hasn't already stopped working, it's going to stop working as of today.